Welcome back, everybody, to the New Heights podcast. Jeez, the New Heights podcast. Where did that come from?
I don't have any idea. What does that even mean?
My brain is just somewhere else.
Is that a podcast?
That's Travis and Jason's podcast. Welcome back, everybody, to the Royal Family Podcast, where we have a lot on deck for you guys today. Tyler, how you been?
Bad. Nauseous and bad. But I do have something to bring up with you today. And it's kind of a discouraging topic, which is why I felt the need to bring it up. Essentially, I've been trying to keep up to date with the trade deadline, trade rumors. People were optioning, people were calling up, all kinds of stuff like that, because we are a podcast, but we also like to do some reporting of breaking news and whatnot on our different platforms. And I set up Google Alerts you can set up Google Alerts to send you emails every time there's like a news story or an article that comes out that has like the word Royals trade or the phrase Royals trade or is like related to that stuff, or it's related to the trade deadline or whatever it is. I've had those set up and I've been getting a million articles a day. And something that I noticed that I've been getting the most is Sports Illustrated articles. And those Sports Illustrated articles I was noticing are some of the laziest articles I've ever read. And I'm 99.9% sure that this is what's going on. I think Sports Illustrated has an AI bot that keeps up with articles. It's kind of like my Google Alerts, but it's not sending the alerts to me, it's sending the alerts to an AI. And then the AI gets all these alerts from every sports team in every market, and it peruses the articles and what it says, and then it just has a template that the AI follows, where the AI makes an article about those other articles from different sports markets. So if, let's say, the Kansas City Star made an article that was like, why we think Taylor Ward is coming to Kansas City, and it talks about how they think we're going to trade for Taylor Ward at the trade deadline, which didn't happen, just an example.
That was my fever dream, but carry on.
Yeah. Then the AI collects that information and then immediately makes an article, same wording through the whole thing, just like inserting into different places. Like, according to the KC Star, it seems like Taylor Ward might be coming to Kansas City, and the article will always be named something like Los Angeles Angels star is headed to Kansas City, ? Blah, blah, blah. And then it's just so lazy. There's no actual work being done in like doing their own research. It's just like copy pasting this article into their format. Yeah. And it really started to discourage me, because they're not the only ones that do that. They're just the only ones that seem like they're making it so they have an article about every single news story that comes out from every team. But there's a lot of these articles that I'm getting sent that have similar wording or are doing similar things, just on a smaller scale. And it really just made me sad, because journalism is already gotten kind of to an all-time low over the last, we'll say, like, decade. And it's going to get to the point where everybody's going to be doing this, or everybody with bad intentions at least. And just everything we read is going to be AI, or we're at least not going to know if it is or not. Yeah. So that really sucks. But then there's more, because Um, one of the people, one of the news outlets that Sports Illustrated keeps quoting articles from is a local, technically, news site, sports site article called Kings of Kauffman. And I kept seeing them quoting Kings of Kauffman. And so I started going to these Kings of Kauffman articles because I was interested in reading from the actual source. And I delve more and more into what Kings of Kauffman posts on the regular. And it's not AI, first of all. They don't use AI. They seem like they're very much written by real people, but it's just the most outlandish, zero research, whatever they make up in their head articles. Like, for instance, they did one that was like, why this Royals outfielder might be on the outs, might be out of KC. And it was an article about Kyle Isbell likely going to be shut down or optioned down because we're going to trade for outfield help. Something like that. I promise you, no matter who we traded for with outfield help, as far as people we could afford, especially because this was very close to the deadline, so we knew we weren't going to like trade one of our key pieces to get like a really big name. I promise you Kyle Isbell was never, ever going to be out of the lineup. One of the best center fielders in terms of defense in the entire league. One of the best number 9 hitters in the entire league. It was never going to happen. And it's just like such a weird thing for them to say. And then they also did an article a few days before the trade deadline that was like, it seems that this Royals All-Star has made himself untouchable. And it was an article about how obviously the biggest name that was likely going to be traded by the Royals before the deadline was Michael Garcia. But after his play in this past week, we feel that he's untouchable. There was maybe one article like a month ago saying Michael might be shopped around, but it was like immediately denied, and there was nothing else besides this one like New York Times article. I don't know where they get this stuff. And there's some much worse examples. I won't go into them. But then I wanted to do some research. I wanted to look deeper into this. Because how could they be so wrong so often? Outside of just like wanting to spread rage bait so people will click and whatnot. So I looked into them. They are a part of a bigger sports network called Fansided. And Fansided, it's kind of like a lesser known, or maybe it's well known, I didn't know about them, but kind of like a lesser known Barstool, I would say, where they have like their own sports networks in each city around the United States. So Kings of Kauffman is a part of Fansided, which is also why I feel okay like calling them out like this. It's not like some small locally owned
You're not attacking the small businesses is essentially, right?
Yeah. It's a bigger national thing. So I looked more into Fansided. It did start out as a Chiefs blog by like two brothers or two friends or something. And I have no idea what the quality of articles were like at that time. It might have been amazing. I mean, it was probably a lot better because they only had to focus on that. But it started as a Chiefs blog. Eventually, it got bought by a much bigger name and spread out throughout the country. That bigger name, I think Time Inc. And Time Inc. owns Sports Illustrated. And I was like, so not only is Kings of Kauffman just spreading like blatant misinformation, Sports Illustrated has their AI bot taking up whatever Kings of Kauffman says, putting it into a template and making it so like millions more or hundreds of thousands of more eyes see this misinformation. And it's so ridiculous because it's just so terrible. They just want to be the most seen. They want to get the most eyes. I understand that happens, but it's just the wrong information is getting seen by the most eyes, and it just bothered me a lot.
Which is another reason why you should tune in bi-weekly to the Royal Family Podcast, where we give you the correct information.
We give you entertaining misinformation. So, like, at least you're not bored.
They do.
Know?
We don't give misinformation.
No.
Even if we give misinformation,
we
preface it with saying, this is our opinion. You know, it's not like we got shadow sources and this is what's going to happen. You know what I mean?
No. We give misinformation and we're proud of it, but we advertise it as misinformation, so it's fine.
Maybe you do. I don't know. I try to be honest.
Yes, of course. Well, no, I'm honest. I just don't look up the information first, so it's more fun that way, you know?
I guess I'm living vicariously, living dangerously.
This is upsetting to me, and so my week's been okay.
Okay, good. I would say I was on the flip side of that. I was just kind of looking into all the trades that went down, especially with the Royals, but I did kind of look into some of the guys we were getting. I got some numbers I want to throw by you in our next segment, but glad your week went well. Where did you get the
numbers? Hopefully
not
Sports
Illustrated.
Sports Illustrated. Okay.
Or Kings of Kauffman. We got better sources.
All right, man. Well, let's get into it.
All right. So, as everybody knows by now, the trade deadline has passed. We've got some new Royals. And I think in this segment, as we kind of talk about the trade deadline, we'll kind of review what happened. And then just kind of looking forward to like the rest of the season as we kind of fight for a playoff spot. Tyler, just in general, before I get into like too much specifics, what was kind of your general impression of the Royals at the trade deadline?
Well, let me start off by saying, just so everybody knows, that we are recording this on August 3rd, before the Royals' last game against the Blue Jays. I thought we could each give JJ Piccolo, our general manager, a grade of how well he did. And then we could kind of get into the nitty-gritty. Well, actually, let me give my thoughts first, and then that'll kind of form my grade. Because full transparency, I didn't come up with my grade yet. I have two different grades in mind that I'm kind of between, but let me talk it out.
Okay.
So the first trade we made was Cam Devaney for Adam Frazier, which we've talked about a little bit already. But now that we've seen a bunch of games, I never thought it was a bad trade to begin with. I think it's worked out well. It was bound to work out because we have Lofton, we have Rave, we have how Jack's performing at the moment in the bottom of our lineup, and like it's not hard to hit better than those dudes. And Adam Frazier was hitting over 250 when he came here already. So it's not like surprising that he has done well, but I think he has exceeded expectations a little bit. I think his fielding's been solid. He's been plugged into second, third, left, right. I think he's had some really clutch hits come up in some big moments. He even had a pretty towering home run the other night, which isn't like something he does very often. He's nailing the opposite field a lot. This seems like a different Adam Frazier than we saw last year. And I think he's been a great fit, and he has really picked up the slack that the 6, 7, 8 hitters have left. So I'm really happy about that trade. I think it was good. Then we traded for Randall Grichuk. He's done pretty well as well. He was really brought in to face left-handed pitching, and he's continued to excel against lefties. He has recently been put in versus righties quite a bit, and he has not done very well against them, but that's kind of the player he is. I'd still like him in the lineup over Rave with righties. Hopefully Rave gets optioned down soon. I feel like it's just the time has come. Maybe he will when Cags gets brought back. But yeah, I've liked Randall. Also had some productive fielding. Also come up with some clutch moments. Also hit a home run pretty close after being traded. He looks good. I'm happy to have him, especially against lefties. And skipping around in the order a bit real quick, because this was our last trade that we made. But speaking of being good against lefties, something that makes the Randall Grichuk trade even better is that we traded for Mike
Yastrzemski,
Yastrzemski.
grandson of the Red Sox Hall of Famer. Just throwing that out.
Yeah, something out there. I'm not necessarily saying it's a good thing that we have a bunch of guys that can only face lefties or can only face righties. Like, there's definitely some problems that can bring up. But if you're going to have a guy who mainly hits against lefties, then you should get a guy that mainly hits against righties. And that is what Mike was brought here for. Hitting over 250 against righties, only like 150 against left. But he homered in his first at bat, so that was great to see. He struck out 3 times yesterday. There's not a big sample size for this. In general, I'm happy we brought someone to kind of make the Grichuk trade better by having someone who is pretty good against righties. I think that balances out really well. How he'll do for us remains to be seen. Do I feel like there was some better options and more balanced players out there that we could have got for a similar price? Yes. But I don't know the inner workings. I don't know if players became unavailable. I don't know if they were asking for too much. We can't really know that. So although I would have rather got someone a little better, I think it's a good move overall. Then we have the heartbreaker, and that is sending off Freddie Fermin for 2 Padres pitchers. They were both starters, but I believe one is going to be a reliever for us. I believe Kolek is going to be a reliever, and then Bergert is going to be a starter. He's actually starting Tuesday, I believe, against the Red Sox. This was a very sad thing to see. If you know anything about Freddie Fermin, you love him. This whole fan base who pays enough attention loves him. He has an incredible story. He's like, even if you don't know about his story, you can just tell he's like one of the best guys just because of how much the team kind of rallies around him and how much the team talks about loving him, how excited the team gets for him. It's a sad situation for Royals fans because he was probably the best backup catcher in the league. He was incredible on defense, and he was really good on offense, especially for a backup catcher. So, although it is sad, I do think it was a good trade for multiple reasons. One, we got 2 pitchers out of it. And if you know anything about us recently, we've lost Bubic, we've lost Lorenzen for a little bit. We still have Cole Reagan's out. We had some other pitching injuries earlier in the year. And our bullpen lately has been incredibly inconsistent. It's really nerve-wracking every time almost anybody from the bullpen gets in, other than maybe Hunter Harvey, small sample size. Urseg, who even recently has struggled quite a bit, but like you have a little more faith. Yeah, besides those 2 guys, our bullpen struggled, and it's a little hurt with Lynch being injured. So with all of those injuries and with all of those struggles, this was a really good trade to get us some good pitching and keeping us as contenders in the league, especially because our offense is doing so well as of late. We need to keep our pitching consistent. Now, that being said, does our offense fall off a bit without Freddie? Yeah, it does. Our backup catcher now is Luke Maley, who I think is a pretty solid defensive catcher. His pitch framing is godlike. I'm not super tuned in to his ability to throw out runners and other like nitty gritty things like that. How well does he work for the pitchers? I don't know that stuff necessarily, but I think he's pretty good on defense. Offense, he's not. He should be much worse than Freddie. His average is pretty good this year, but he's only had like, I think, less than 20 at bats. If he kept up his current average, then oh my God, he's incredible. But I don't think he will. So our offense falls off a little bit in that area. In the moments where Freddie was getting at bats like every 2 or 3 days. But overall, like I said, I do think it's a great trade. We also got Falter from the Pirates. That was also a great pickup. He's going to be one of the starters. He's starting tomorrow on Monday against the Red Sox. That was awesome. Good stuff. All that being said, I think I would give JJ a B+ for right now, and we'll see how all those guys work going forward.
Nice. Good analysis. I do think overall, when we look at it, adding Adam Frazier, bringing him back, that gives us a lot of flexibility, whether he play outfield, whether he play second base or another infield position, to give guys relief in case there's any injuries as we push for a playoff spot. He's a really good plug and play guy. And since he left the Royals last year, he's shown improved hitting. He's hasn't dropped off in the 7 games he's been with us. He's hitting .256 since joining us. I think that him, in addition to adding Yaz, that's an additional outfield option. This allows Cags, whenever he does return, to not have to get thrown in that uncomfortable right field position. He can spend more time honing his craft, maybe coming in as a DH every once in a while, giving him more time to acclimate to the major leagues. So I think that was another good trade. You only gave away a minor league pitcher for that, Junior Marte. So I think, again, that was another...
a minor league 2-way player. But yeah, his pitching stats in single A were good. His batting stats were not very good. So all the way down in single A, like, who knows if he would have ever been something for us, but it would have taken years and years and years time. Probably.
Yeah.
But I wanted to throw that out there because I did find it interesting that we had a 2-way player. But yes.
Gotcha. I really do think that getting Bailey Falter, a left-hander that is able to add to our starting rotation, is a big help.
Falter? I hardly know her.
The trade with the Pirates to get Bailey Falter as a guy to add to our starting rotation with all the injuries we've had, I think is a great benefit. Like you mentioned, giving away Sisk and that first baseman, that was Callan Moss. I think as far as being competitive in the short term, a lot of these moves are going to help us right now. Of course, getting rid of Freddie hurts. But again, adding 2 solid pitchers. Bergert has a 2.78 ERA, 2.78 ERA in 11 games. Kolek, a bit higher, 4.18, but he does have 56 Ks in 14 games. So he can get a strikeout if need be. It'll be interesting to see how those guys kind of mesh with the rest of our pitching staff as we really do approach the end of this season. And for that reason, I also will give the Royals a B+. But I do have a little nuance to that. I think it has the potential to go up to an A- because I think that predicates on our ability to make the playoffs. And then also, I think the guys we got in return, especially Yaz and the pitchers, those are guys who will be with us heading into next year as well, that kind of give us more flexibility to allow for further development of Cags, and hopefully he can take off and gives us more pitching options. And I think within all of this, I know it wasn't a trade, but re-signing Lugo showed our commitment, at least for this season and next season, saying we want to be a part of the conversation. We still want to be competitive. We're not giving up.
Looking at the schedule for the rest of the season, We are currently sitting 3.5 spots behind Seattle for the last wild card spot. We have another game against the Blue Jays. We have a series against the Red Sox. That is like, if you're going to be pessimistic about that, I understand. Because the Blue Jays are one of the best teams in baseball. The Red Sox are a very good team who seemingly got a lot better at the trade deadline. They may be one of the better teams in baseball. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but they'll be a hard series regardless. But it will be very interesting because we're like 5 or 6 games behind them, maybe 4.5, something like that. So, like, hypothetically, a sweep against them could get us right into that race. I guess a sweep against them could do that regardless. But then we have the Twins. They just traded away their entire team. Thank you for that. I'm happy we have that. Then we have the Nationals. They're terrible, so that's awesome. Then we have the White Sox.
In the Nationals series, that kicks off a very long homestand. I think that should be emphasized for sure.
Okay. Well, we are worse at home this year, but
You would think theoretically.
we can emphasize it. We've been better lately, so yeah, we'll see. But yeah, the Nationals, thank God. Then the White Sox. This is annoying because we play the White Sox 2 more times before the end of the season. It should be an easy series, but firstly, let me remind you that they won our last series, and then secondly, let me inform you that they're one of the hottest teams on this side of the trade deadline, on this side of the second half of the season, not the trade deadline. On this side of the All-Star break, they are one of the hottest teams in baseball, and that is so annoying because now it's not a given series anymore. So I hate that. I'll be real with you. Then we have the Rangers, another very interesting one. They're like 2 games ahead of us currently. So that's going to be another fight against a wild card team. But then here's where it gets interesting. And call me out. Whoever wants to call me out, feel free to call me out about this. But if we can get within 6 games of the Detroit Tigers, we are currently 9.5 back. If we can get within 6 games of the Tigers and then just play as well as them for the rest of the season, first place is not out of the question because we have 2 more series against the Tigers. Both 3-game series. Like, obviously it's not likely to just sweep 6 games. I'm not saying it's likely. I'm just saying crazier stuff has happened, and if we can get within 6 games, we put ourselves in a position where first place is possible. Like, call me crazy, maybe I am, but that's what I'm seeing right now. A little further down the line, we have the Angels. We're also battling them for the last wild card spot. Then the Twins again, thank God. Then the Guardians, we're battling them for the last, technically first place if the scenario I just talked about happens, but also for that last wild card spot. That's a 4-game series. Then we have the Phillies, one of the hardest teams in baseball to beat. Then we have the Mariners, after recently, maybe one of the hardest teams in the league to beat. Although it seems like their pitching is pretty sketchy. Then we have the Blue Jays again. Then we have the Angels fighting against them for that wild card spot. Whoever said we have the easiest strength of schedule going forward needs to be executed. Because what are you talking about?
It's a gauntlet.
But regardless, we control our own destiny. We play all these teams that we need to pass. So we play good against them, we make the playoffs. We play bad against them, we don't make the playoffs. And it's as simple as that. So it is However, frustrating, it is exciting to see. And then we play the A's. But someone whose season is looking much better is the KC Current. So I'm curious about the current thoughts you have.
Oh my goodness. I mean, where do I begin? Number one in the league, seventh straight win this past Friday, August 1st, against Racing Louisville. I mean, we
Which
are.
I'll never understand. I'll never understand their name, but
I don't know.
I imagine it's
There's-
similar to Sporting KC.
Yeah, picked off of another team throughout the world. We currently sit 11 points above second place. So second place is Orlando. They have 25 points. KC Current has 36 points. That is, I mean, we're so much further ahead than everybody in the league. Things are looking great. But let me just start with
we definitely couldn't get better in any way then, right?
You would say theoretically we couldn't. And I will say we got scarier. We're better for the future. And the reason why I'm not 100% agreeing with you is because things are good, things are great. On the field, things are great, but also we took a little bit of a hit this past week. And what I am alluding to is Vanessa DiBernardo and her husband Andy announcing her pregnancy this past week. So obviously she's done with the Current for at least the rest of this season. We'll kind of see beyond that, kind of whatever she decides. But first off, just want to say congratulations to her and her family. That's awesome news. But to kind of offset that sadness of losing Vanessa on the field, right prior, like a few hours prior to the game on Friday, KC Current announced a blockbuster trade. They traded $600,000 to Utah Royals Football Club. We got Ali Santnor, the 2024 U.S. Soccer Young Player of the Year. The lady's amazing. She's a great player, awesome in the attack, great passer. She has great finishing ability. I think this is a huge move, and I think more people are thinking, oh, well, of course, the rich get richer. This is just going to propel the KC Current this season. Yes, in the immediate term, that's great, but she's only 21 years old, and I only imagine that her game will improve as we go through the years. Even if she's not the one who's scoring or assisting, she provides an attacking presence. People may think, oh, it's going to look the exact same way it looked in Utah. It may not. I think what the task is going to be is Vlatko Andonovski, our head coach, figuring out how to integrate her into that team, figuring out how to deal with the loss of Vanessa DiBernardo, and figuring out how to maintain the midfield and the attack, which, if it brings me back to this past game against Racing Louisville, when we look at the first half, the KC Current really were not able to hold possession. Their midfield was kind of a bit disjointed. It was very direct. It was kind of the defense launching the ball forward to Chawinga or Cooper to kind of figure out ways to attack the opponent's goal. There wasn't really any good facilitation between the defensive aspects and the attacking midfielder, or a midfield to kind of facilitate the attack going forward, which that's something that Vanessa DiBernardo was very good at. She was good at taking the ball from the middle of the park and driving it forward, figuring out ways to pass to Bia or Chawinga or Cooper or anyone else joining the attack. So I think bringing in Santnor is going to help with that. I also think this past game against Louisville, they had a strict game plan, and that was to press us, to limit our opportunities to connect passes. Because when the Current are able to connect their passes, you know, you got Hutton passing it out wide to somebody, you get Izzy Rodriguez on the left flank running up. they find ways to get around you and things like that. But Louisville did a really good job, especially in the first half, of kind of containing that, setting in there and preventing our major attacks. We were able to figure it out in the second half. I think we were a bit more patient. We were able to hold the ball a bit more. And that is kind of what led to our goals, especially the first goal where Michelle Cooper is able to do what she does best, dribble on the tightrope on the wing, and she's able to find Chewinga for the first goal. And then later on, we were able to get a free kick, balls driven in. One of the shortest players on the field, Elizabeth Ball, is able to get her head on it and score the second goal. And I think offensively, everyone's always like, yeah, KC expects to score 2+ goals a game. And I'm really proud of our offense and kind of continuing that theme from last year. But I think the big difference between last year and this year is there's that defensive accountability. Players are really committed to defensive assignments, making sure teams don't hit us on the counterattack, being tuned in on set pieces. And I think a really big part of that has been Kayla Sharples. She was brought over in a trade with Bay FC last season, and she's did a great job since she joined us last year. She's done an amazing job this year. I think for me, she's in the best 11 as far as defenders go. And this past week, we found out they extended her to a new contract extension. She'll be with the team through the 2027 season. So I think that commitment to defensive responsibility is kind of what set the Current apart from this time last year. And I think that's why you see us have an 11-point lead over the rest of the league.
Now, let us get into the reason that most of you probably clicked on this video. If I clickbaited correctly.
This isn't clickbait. We're giving the people what they want.
To me, it's clickbait if you bait someone to click. It doesn't mean you're like misleading them necessarily if it's clickbait. That's bad clickbait. Let's get into our all-time Royals team. Now, we're going to do this probably quite a bit different than people that have come before us and made these lists, whether it's a Royals all-time team or whether it's an all-time MLB team or an all-time anything team. A lot of people make those types of lists, and we are going to be a little bit different with how we do ours. We're going to be different in a few different ways. Firstly, we are going to come up with at least 52 all-time players. It's probably, the exact number is actually going to be 71, but we're going to come up with a big pool of all-time players, because after we list these all-time players, Austin and I are going to do a draft. We're going to draft the players that we want on our 26-man roster, and then we are going to have the teams play each other in a 7-game series. And how we're going to do that is using the baseball simulator Out of the Park Baseball 26. We have either used their database of players or imported the historical players that we are putting on our team, and that is going to be how we are going to simulate a matchup between Austin and I's all-time teams that we draft from this list. Now, we're just going to list the players that we chose to be in this pool, and we're going to give a little explanation for most of them. We're also going to draft here, and we'll go over our results. But if you want to watch the actual full simulation of the games we play, that'll be a separate video that we will be posting shortly. Let's get into all the players that we have to choose from. This is going to be in alphabetical order, so it is not in order of rank. We're not doing it by position necessarily, although we make sure we have the correct amount of each position to be able to draft from. Some other caveats, some of these, and we'll explain as we go, but some of these are going to be from the heart picks. Some of these are going to be like their stats are undeniable. Their stats and their achievements are undeniable, but we haven't really watched them play because they're old. Or maybe on a few occasions we haven't really heard much about these players. We've done enough research to know we can't exclude them. And then the rest of the players are going to be people we are absolutely certain about. And that's going to be most of the players, actually. Last little caveat, this is not an all-time list of players for how great their career was in Kansas City. Although most of the players on here had great careers in KC. This is going to be based on if a player had an amazing year in Kansas City. And you might say that's a stupid way to do it. Well, first of all, we want to do something a little more unique because this isn't like a new concept by any means. Everybody's made their all-time Royals teams. And the thing about that, the greatest of the greatest Royals, between them and the next best Royals, there is such a gigantic drop-off that really, if we just make the people who had the best careers in Kansas City, it's just going to be the same as pretty much everybody else's list. And that's a little boring. So that's one of the reasons we're being able to pick players based on if they had an amazing year here. The other reason we're doing that is because when you import players into the simulator, you have to pick 1 year. You're importing them based on 1 year, and then it uses those stats to formulate the player ratings and how they will play. So our first player is going to be 1971 Ted Abernathy. He had a 2.56 ERA that year through 63 games. He was very, almost unstoppable on other teams, but he was very good for us. Good enough to make this list. Second on the list, we had 2003 Jeremy Affeldt. Now, I'll be real. When I was going through relief pitchers, I was like, wow, the Royals have really not had a lot of good relief pitchers. Jeremy Affeldt was also a guy who I thought about putting at first just because I have nostalgia over him because he was one of my favorite guys growing up, but I figured that was just because I knew who he was. I went to a baseball camp with him, not like he was a student, he was leading the camp. But I did find that 2003 was a very solid year for him on the Royals, and that gets him into our list. Next up, we have Willie Aikens, great first baseman for us, and that is going to be the 1983 Willie Aikens. Next, we have starting pitcher Kevin Appier. Anybody who's familiar with KC knows that you can't make an all-time list without him. Then we have 2008 shortstop Mike Aviles. Nowhere in my mind when I had the idea to make this list did I ever think Mike Aviles was going to be on this list. Not a single part of my mind would have ever thought that. But he did have a really, really good 2008. You just can't deny it. So with how we're making this list, he's on here. Is he going to be drafted? You'll have to keep watching to find... No, he's not going to be drafted.
You don't know that. You don't know what I have up my sleeve. But I do
you
like
don't even
me
know
some...
who he was.
I recognize the name.
Then we're going to go with 1997 Jay Bell, which was a breakout year for him with the Royals.
Okay, so we got the legend, the future Hofer, in my mind. Carlos Beltran. We're looking at him from the 2004 season.
This is another guy that is a very nostalgic pick for me, who I didn't think was going to be on here, but as I realized we needed depth in the infield, he just barely made the cut. It is more of a heart pick for me because I loved playing as this guy in MVP Baseball 04, but that is going to be Angel Baroa. 2003 Angel Baroa. He was an exciting player to play as, at least. I'm not going to lie to you. Does he deserve to be on an all-time list necessarily? And our next guy is going to be relief pitcher Doug Bird. His statistics are undeniable, and that is going to be the 1974 season for Doug Bird.
I mean, this is kind of a slam dunk. George Brett. I mean, what list doesn't have him? We'll get the 1980 version of him.
The GOAT.
Yep.
The GOAT. Then next we have relief pitcher Tom Bergmeyer. This is another person that when I was looking for relief, he seemed just good enough to be in here.
Next, we got Billy Butler in his barbecue sauce. This is a bit of a heart pick for me, but I know 2012 was an amazing year for him.
Yeah, I thought Billy Butler would be a heart pick for me. I thought he was one of those guys that was like super lovable, so he was super popular because of that. But going back looking at his stats, it would be like really disappointing. He had like 3 or 4 seasons where he was one of the better Royals first basemen of all time. He surprised me with just how good he was over several years, and his career stats also just much better than I thought they were. Then we have 2012 Melky Cabrera. I knew we had Melky. I knew it was for a short time, and I knew he was a great player, but I didn't realize he had a really good season with us. I thought it was one of those Carlos Santana, Coco Crisp, one of those people that was an amazing all-time player in baseball, but when they came to us, by the time they got there, they just, they fell off. But Milky had a great at least 2012 season, and so he makes it on the list.
Next, we got Lorenzo Cain, huge center fielder, amazing part of that 15 World Series team.
Yeah. Gold Glover, I don't think he got the Gold Glove when he was with us. I think it was in Milwaukee, but Gold Glover nonetheless. Great fielder. Didn't start playing baseball till his sophomore year of high school. Still a crazy thing to think about. I think there's probably more underrated names, but I think Lorenzo Cain is one of the most underrated players Kansas City has ever had. If you look at his stats, it's really pretty incredible what he was able to do and not be like a household name. He was a lot better than I think people even remember him, even though we love him here. Everybody loves him here. Everybody knows he was good, but I think he was a lot better than even people remember him as.
And here comes my guy, Johnny Damon from the 2000 season. I don't know, growing up, I just always really loved watching him, especially when he was with the Royals, from what I could remember. Those were kind of among some of my first baseball memories, was Johnny Damon in the outfield.
Next up, we have not the best Royals closer of all time, but I think the best season a Royals closer has ever had, and that's that 2015 season where we won it all, and that is Wade Davis. Waiter. Check, please. Just an incredible guy to have around. When we had that 7, 8, 9, Herrera, Holland, Davis, we were unstoppable. It might be the best 7, 8, 9 guys of any team ever. I think there's a huge argument to make for that. But yeah, Wade Davis, although his dominance was short-lived, he sure was one of the most dominant pitchers of all time. And then next, this is definitely a heart pick, although, again, somebody that I looked back on, and their stats were a little better than I thought they'd be. I thought I only liked this guy. I don't really know why I like this guy, but his style of play, I guess, I thought I'd go back and he'd be terrible. He wasn't terrible. He probably... but he's like not good enough to where I call this a heart pick. And that is my guy, David DeJesus, center fielder for the Royals for a really decent amount of time when we were terrible. We're going with his 2006 season, really an impressive season. I'm not sure if his best years were with us or if they were with the Rays or whoever else he was with later in his career, but he did have a good 2006 season. He makes it on here because he lives in my heart forever. I once got a foul ball from him that I since have lost.
Sad.
Then we have a player that is only here because of his name. No. Then we have another good pitcher, and that is 1971 Dick Drago. As you can see, I've heard about him. I know he's good. I know he's good enough to make this list of 70 players, 71, but don't know a whole lot more than that other than he was pretty solid. He was a good fella. That's pretty nice. Do you feel like you know enough about this one to do it?
I know a little bit about Danny. Yeah, Danny Duffy. Was he with us in 15 as well? But regardless,
Uh huh.
yeah, Danny Duffy, starting pitcher. We picked his 2014 season. His dominance, I would say he had dominant moments. He wasn't always the most consistent, but I think in those 14, 15 teams, him being a part of that rotation definitely made a huge difference for us. So I think going off of that, going off of the World Series aura, we got to include him to at least have him as an option in the rotation.
Yeah, he wasn't too great in 2015, but 2014 was really an incredible year for him. 2016 also an incredible year. It's kind of just crazy to see how many years he played with us. 10 in a row. You don't usually keep a starting pitcher for that long, but we did, and so we went through it all with him. We went through terrible seasons, we went through amazing seasons. Yeah, but 2014 season, 2.53 ERA. We ended up going to the World Series that year. I know he was hurt like almost every year for some period of time, and then there was the drive-through incident. But
Yeah.
hey, he was a great pitcher. He played with us forever. He makes the list. Next,
Jermaine Dye.
do you? Yeah,
My
you want to do this one?
guy. So we're going with the 2001 version of Jermaine Dye when he was with the Royals. Kind of the start of his career. Great power hitter. Speed
Next,
kills.
we have 2016 Gerard Dyson. Now, it is somewhat of a heart pick. Obviously, he was not the best batter in the world, but I think when you are building a team, having a guy that can steal a base at will, that you can plug in as a pinch runner at any point and have him immediately steal a base, I think is invaluable. He was an incredible center fielder. He didn't play center field as consistently until later on in his Royals career, and that's why people might not remember that as much, because Kane was taking a lot of the center field reps. But 2016 was an incredible season for him. It was also his best batting season. That year, he had 337 plate appearances. He hit 278, and he had 30 stolen bases. I don't think people really look back and remember that he played that much one of those years, but he did, and he was honestly really good, and just his base running and fielding alone make him a great asset for the team. But I'd almost not call it a heart pick. I really think he had so many valuable things. He had a 2.8 WAR, which, like, no, it's not the highest WAR ever, but I think it's a lot higher than most people would think when they look back at Gerard Dyson. You can talk about your closer.
Yeah, Lucas Erceg, closer. He was really solid after we traded for him last season. So he's kind of my heart pick a little bit to have him on the team here.
Next, we're going with 2012 Alcides Escobar. Great defender, multi-Gold Glove winner. He had a lot of seasons where he wasn't hitting the best, but when he was hitting well, he was up there with the best of them. Over 300 average that year. It was that year. Well, actually, this was our 2015 year that he led off the World Series with an inside the park home run, but that was special. That was a special year. He just started swinging at every first pitch, like some sort of magic happened. But 2012 is the season we're going with. Then we have Carlos Estevez, and although he likes to make 2025, obviously, although he likes to make every game really interesting, he really is having a great year. 2.55 ERA, I think, 28 saves, which is crazy, and stacking him up against Royals relievers, he really is one of the better ones we've had, even if he's had struggles lately, which it seems like he's getting out of. Coming up next, there's not a lot of good Royals catchers out there, I'll be real with you. There's some, for sure, but we do need depth at the catcher position in this draft, and I do think 2024 Freddie Fermin makes this list. It is a bit of a heart pick. We all love Freddie. We're all sad to see that he got traded because we don't get to watch him in KC anymore. We're all happy that he gets to be a starting catcher now. But really, 2024 season, he was great. I think he hit 280 something, obviously splitting his time with Salvi, but incredible defensive catcher, which is invaluable. Honestly, not a bad backup to have on this all-time team, and not a bad starter to have in the current landscape of the MLB.
Your guy.
And we have my guy, Michael Garcia. Here's the thing. Call it a heart pick. He's one of my favorite players. Well, he is my favorite player on the current team.
People will
Say he doesn't belong on this list. I just don't care is the thing. He's having a career year. He's a solid third baseman on defense. He's a great contact hitter. He spreads it all across the field. Able to be plugged into any part of the lineup, as has been shown this year as Q moves him up and down and up and down and up and down, and he's just been able to thrive regardless of it. And maybe the most important thing about him, he steps up to big moments. He was our best player in the playoffs last year. Every time he goes to like a historical stadium or it's a huge game against a rival, he steps up, he makes something happen, he's clutch. And he's on this team, and you can fight me about that.
So Alex Gordon, club legend. We're going to bring him in from the 2011 season.
Next, we have starting pitcher Zach Greinke, I believe future Hall of Famer, one of the best pitchers of all time. When he was originally with us, he went on to do even better things, and obviously he came back a little older, but still had great moments. 2009, Zach Greinke, and I believe he had like a 10.5 WAR that year, which is crazy for a starting pitcher. Then we have Kelvin Herrera, 2014 season. As I said before, that Herrera, Holland, Davis 1-2-3 punch, one of the best ever. He is now the mayor of a city in the Dominican Republic. So put some respect on his name, why don't you? Then we have Luke Hochevar. We're going with his 2013 season. Luke Hochevar was with us forever. And he wasn't like one of the top tier reliever guys, but something happened in 2013 near the end of his career where he just excelled and gave us his best year ever. And that's why he gets on this list. Then we have 2013 Greg Holland. Don't need to say anything. Already talked about him twice. He makes the list. And when he was our closer, he was... which actually I think he was our closer in 2013. He was incredible. It just shows how amazing Wade Davis was that Greg Holland was no longer the closer when Davis was on the team.
So next we got Haas, World Series champ, 2017.
Yeah, 4.4 WAR for Haas in 2017. Definitely a forgotten year because we started to suck. He did not start to suck. He excelled in that year. But then we have... the one, the only 1990 Bo Jackson. Come on, man. Come on, man. You know why he's on here. Whit Merrifield.
Big hit Whit. He just had a knack of always getting on base, finding ways to steal in timely situations. We got the 2018 version of Whit Merrifield.
I think Bobby Witt Jr., when he came on, kind of overshadowed how well Whit Merrifield was hitting, but he had some of the all-time seasons of a Royal, especially at second base, because we didn't, outside of a few huge names, we didn't have the best second baseman all the time, especially not this year. Mike Moustakas, Moose, 2015 season was one of his best. One of the few people from that World Series season that had their best season. Really, like Wade Davis, Mike Moustakas, not many others had their best season. To be clear, they all had very good seasons. That's how we won. Moose really, 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 really stepped up that year. Salvador Perez, 2021 season. I should not have to explain further. This one may be unpopular. I decided to go ahead and put 2013 Irvin Santana in here. He had a fantastic year. I think he deserves to be here. Definitely not remembered, but he had a great year. What can I say? A name that goes without saying, 1987, Kevin Seitzer. Welcome. Mike Sweeney goes without saying. Although, like, I don't think people know he was good. I don't think people know how good he was. If we had won anything with him, he probably would be maybe a household name. But we're going with his 2000 season. Just incredible at the plate. Another name that's incredible but gets overshadowed a lot, Danny Tartabull, 1991. Now, I would never say this isn't a heart pick. Well, yeah. This is a heart pick, but it's a little more than that. 2013 ace, Yordano Ventura, may he rest in peace. He never had a completely dominant season by any means, but you could just tell. You could just tell that's where his career was going to go. He was going somewhere special. His stuff was insane. The energy he brought to our team was electric. He made the players around him play better. He was just an all-time competitor. So Yordano makes this list. Willie Wilson goes without saying. We chose his 1980 season. One of the best fielders of all time. And then 2024 Bobby Witt Jr. At this point, we don't really know if he's going to ever return to this form that he was in last year. That it might be his best season ever, but we do know he's going to continue to be great as he is this year. But holy crap, one of the best seasons a Royal has ever had, period. Austin, heads or tails?
Heads.
It is heads. You
Lovely.
get the first pick.
Give me George Brett, please.
He's not available. I'm just kidding. Give me Bobby Witt Jr.
Brett Saberhagen.
I'm going to go with Willie Wilson.
I will take Zach Greinke.
Give me Carlos Beltran. It's at right field.
Take Mike Sweeney at first base.
I'm going to go with Frank White at second base.
I'll do Mark Grudzielanek. Put him at second base.
That is an interesting pick. I will go with Salvador Perez.
Let's do Jorge Soler at DH.
I'm going to go with Bo Jackson at right field. Or left field. Sorry. I'm actually going to put him at left. Right. I'm going to put Carlos Beltran in left now.
Did you say Johnny Damon already?
No.
Okay. I'll do Johnny Damon at center.
Give me Eric Hosmer at first.
I'll do Danny Tartabull at right field.
Give me DH Amos Otis.
I'll do Alcides Escobar shortstop.
Give me Wade Davis at closer.
Give me Jeff Montgomery.
I will go with Kevin Apier.
I'll go Alex Gordon at left field.
Give me Paul Splittorff starting.
I'll go Daryl Porter at catcher.
Give me Hal McRae.
I will take Dennis Leonard.
Jermaine Dye.
Okay. Give me Greg Holland at closer.
Give me Whit Merrifield.
Take Lorenzo Cain, kind of back up.
Oh my god. Dude.
What? Is that the...
I forgot he was on there. Darn it. Give me Moose.
Let's do Yordano Ventura.
I'll go Dick Drago.
I'll go you go, we go, I go, Lugo.
Give me Dan Quisenberry.
I will do Lou Piniella.
It's way too much on heart now because I know I only have 2 left. And I know who I really want on my team because of my heart. But I also see that Kevin Seitzer is still available. who probably should have been picked up in like the first 6 or 7 picks. Whatever. Give me Danny Duffy.
I'll do Kelvin Herrera.
Give me Joaquim Soria.
Give me Doug Bird as a reliever.
I'm going to get Ted Abernathy.
Nice.
As a relief pitcher.
Kevin Seitzer. Did anyone get him? Did you get him?
Nope.
Okay. I will take him.
I will go with my last starting pitcher, Irvin Santana.
Let's do Pasquatch. Vinny, first base.
I'll go with Ryan Madsen.
Let's go Rusty Meacham, reliever.
You already betrayed him by not making him your closer, so I'm going with Lucas Urseg.
That hurts. Let's go with Carlos Estevez as a reliever, please.
I will go with Mark Gubicka, or however you pronounce his name, as a reliever. A length guy, if you will.
Nice. I'll do Freddie Fermin as backup catcher.
Oh, no. I had 2 guys in mind that I wanted for my next bench guys, but I forgot I don't have a catcher. You know what?
You got Salvi.
Salvi's going to have to... I don't have a backup is what I mean.
I see.
Salvi's going to have to worry about his own stamina. I'm not going to get a backup catcher. And I'm going to go with Gerard Dyson.
Let me do Edinson Volquez as a reliever. And take.
I believe we're done. But let me make sure I have 26. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. All right. We appreciate you guys watching. If you, I think we'll put the final result of the simulation in this podcast, but I'm not sure. If you don't want to be spoiled, stay tuned in the next couple of days to see the full simulation, or if we didn't put the end of the simulation in this video, all of that will be in a separate video coming this week. So appreciate you all. We'll see you on the other side.